The chamber doors haven't finished opening before the Korathi pup is already through the gap, 6 legs hitting deck plating in a clatter like falling cutlery, mandibles spread wide enough to take a forearm off at the elbow. 12 of us are lined against the observation rail. 11 step back. I don't. Proctor Calx wanted ferocity for this assessment, and ferocity is what the breeders gave him, a juvenile splinter wasp. Carapace the color of an oil slick under bad light, fresh off a transport from the Vekrath Badlands, where its kind hunt in packs that strip armored war sleds to bone in under a minute. He told us that fact twice during the briefing, like repetition would make our knees work better. The pup skids to a stop 4 meters out, antennae flattening, and looks down the row of us, hunting for the reaction it's been bred to expect. Screaming, scattering, something worth chasing. It doesn't find it from me. I'm not screaming because I spent the last 6 hours replacing a coolant gasket on a transport sled, and my hands still smell like sealant, and frankly I'm tired in a way that outranks fear. Hold position, Calx says into the speaker, voice carrying that particular satisfaction of a man watching his theory confirmed. Compliance under live predator threat. This is what separates. The pup's head turns toward me mid-sentence. It crosses the 4 meters in a way that should look like an attack and somehow doesn't low fast, but the mandibles have folded flat against its jaw instead of spreading. It stops at my boots and noses one of them, antennae twitching against the sealant smell like it's reading a label. Somebody behind me makes a sound. Calx does not. Cadet Voss stepped back from the specimen. I look down at 6 gleaming black eyes looking up at me with what I can only call professional interest, and I think about the gasket and the double shift, and how I genuinely do not have the energy left today to be afraid of an insect the size of a supply crate. It's not doing anything, I say, which is true for about 4 more seconds, and then it climbs into my lap. It does this the way a much smaller animal would, folding its legs under itself with a precision that doesn't match the size of it, settling its weight across my knees like it's done this before, like there's a procedure for it. Its carapace is warm. I can feel a low vibration through it, something between a purr and machinery idling. The observation gallery has gone very quiet. That is not, Calx says, a compliance behavior. That is Voss, that animal field stripped a training dummy in November. It is rated apex juvenile. Step back. I'm not holding it, I say. It climbed on me. Then make it get off. I look at the pup. The pup looks at me. Its mandibles are still folded, and the low vibration hasn't stopped, and there is genuinely no part of this that resembles the footage from November that Calx showed us twice. I put my hand flat on its carapace, the way you'd settle a hand on an idling engine to feel if something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. It leans into the touch the way a much friendlier animal would, and somewhere down the row a cadet laughs before catching herself. That's the moment Calx decides to come down off the platform himself. He's not a small man, and he's wearing the kind of boots that announce every step, and he crosses the chamber floor with a grip pole extended, the kind built for separating animals that don't want to be separated. I see it before the pup does. I see the exact moment the pup registers it too, because the vibration in its carapace changes pitch, drops into something with an edge in it. Sir, I say, I don't think. He doesn't wait for the end of the sentence. The pole comes down toward the pup's flank, not to hurt it, just to hurt it off me, and the pup is off my lap and between us before the pole finishes its arc, mandibles snapped open, every leg planted, a sound coming out of it that has nothing in common with the idling engine purr from 30 seconds ago. Calx freezes with the pole half raised. The pup doesn't lunge. It doesn't need to. It just stands there, 4 meters of bred-killing intent compressed into something the size of a supply crate, daring him to finish the motion. And I watch a man who lectured 12 cadets about predator behavior for 40 minutes discover in real time that he does not actually want to find out what happens next. He lowers the pole. The pup doesn't relax until it does, and then it turns around, climbs back into my lap like nothing happened, and resumes the purr at exactly the pitch it was at before. "Get the handler," Calx says, and his voice has lost the satisfaction from earlier. "Get the actual handler." The actual handler, a quiet woman named Orsa who spent 4 years with these animals and looks, when she arrives, less surprised than everyone else in the room, crouches at a careful distance and studies the pup for a long moment. "It's not malfunctioning," she says. "It's bonded. To a cadet. To a person who didn't trigger its threat response," Orsa says. "They don't bond to the loud ones, Proctor. They bond to whoever doesn't make them feel hunted. You spent a transport ride and a briefing room telling every cadet in this program how dangerous it is. She's the only one in the building who wasn't performing fear at it. Animals notice the difference between actual calm and held breath. This one especially." Calx looks at the readout on his slate, then at me, then at the pup, which has gone fully limp across my knees in the specific way of something that has decided the threat assessment is over and the nap portion of the day has begun. He's not ready to accept it yet. He orders a control test on the spot. Cadet Brennick, a big quiet third year who's never said 2 words to me, called forward with a ration strip to see whether the bond is really to me or just to whoever's holding food. Brennick crouches at a careful distance, strip extended, doing everything right. The pup doesn't even lift its head off my knee. It cracks one eye, registers the food, registers Brennick, and goes back to sleep with the specific indifference of something that has already made its decision and isn't interested in being tested twice in one afternoon. "It's not food motivated," Orsa says, not unkindly. "I could have told you that an hour ago, Proctor. You can run the test again tomorrow if you want a different answer. You'll get the same one." Calx doesn't run it again tomorrow. "This goes to the review board," he says instead, like it's a threat. It does go to the review board, 3 days later, in a room with better chairs than the assessment chamber, and a panel of 4 officers who have clearly heard the story already and are mostly there to watch Calx say it out loud. He says it competently. "Field assessment, apex juvenile specimen, anomalous compliance variant. Recommend reclassification pending further observation." He does not say, "It nearly took my hand off with a grip pole still in it." And I don't volunteer it, because Orsa already filed that part in writing and the panel has clearly read it, given the way 2 of them are not quite looking at him. "Cadet Voss," the senior officer says, "anything to add?" "I have the pup with me, because Orsa decided 3 days ago that separating it for a hearing would generate paperwork nobody wanted to write, and it has spent the entire session curled around my boots under the table, occasionally vibrating against my ankle when someone's voice gets too sharp." "No, sir," I say, "it's just tired, we both are." Someone on the panel doesn't quite hide a laugh. The reclassification goes through. Corathi splinter wasps, apex juvenile, compliance bonding confirmed under field conditions. Orsa's report, dry as the desert the things come from, becomes the new training citation for the program. Calx's name is on the original threat assessment that the new citation quietly contradicts, and everyone in the building reads both documents inside a week. I don't gloat. There isn't time to. The pup, Itch, the squad's named it by now, for the way it works its way under your arm if you stay still too long, has decided that wherever I am is the correct place for it to be, assessment chamber or barracks bunk, or this evening, the maintenance bay where I'm finally finishing that gasket from 3 days ago. It's draped across my boots while I work, carapace warm against my ankles, mandibles folded, the engine-idle purr running low and steady under the sound of the wrench. Somewhere down the corridor, I can hear Calx's voice, still arguing a point nobody's conceding anymore. I tighten the last bolt, wipe the sealant off my hands, and look down at 4 meters of bred apex predator currently using my boots as a pillow. "Good pack," I tell it, because it's the only word that fits, and it presses harder against my ankle like it agrees.